what is up, everybody? Zero Fats here, aka Cam Jennings, coming at you on behalf of the Zero Fats Returns show. Hope everybody's doing amazing out there. I have a very special guest with me today, you guys. One of my favorite marketers, actually. He's put out countless tools, softwares, info products over the years. Host of the infamous IM Pub. Been in the game for 20 years. Founder of the Secretive Society 11. Dude, Andy Brocklehurst, thanks for joining the show, man. Appreciate you.
Yes, it's good to be here. Good to be. I feel old when people say that. You've been doing this 20 years. Yeah, I have.
I feel old too, man. I know what you mean. On a daily basis. Every time I look in the mirror, I see this gray hair in my beard.
Yeah, it's bonkers, isn't it? I know. Well, I used to have hair. I had hair when I started.
Yeah.
So.
What happened, man? Too stressful?
No, it thinned rapidly. I shaved the rest off. That was it. It was gone.
Yeah, I wish I did. I wish I couldn't relate to that.
You're right there. Wear a hat.
Yeah, I gotta wear a hat. Listen, man. Listen. Tell me, for those people out there who don't know you, just tell me a little bit about your story, man. How did you get into this whole thing?
Okay, I got into internet marketing. I kind of fell into it. I was originally, I was a very techie guy. I was a geek before geek was cool. Programmer, had a lot of experience in developing software. I also had found way back before the internet was the internet, really, when it was bulletin boards and things, I found that there were ways of selling little software packages. In those days, we had to take a check and mail a floppy disk out. There was no PayPal and there was no, and you couldn't download anything because internet speeds were incredibly slow back then. So I dabbled a bit with that, but then I got into doing freelance work and coding for other people, and I soon realised that these other people were rather shrewd marketers, and they could take a product that I'd written and I'd been paid okay for, but they were making a stack load more than I was. And I thought, well, I know some of this, and I know how to do some of this marketing stuff. And if I brush up those skills and take that further, so I went out and bought books on direct mail. I learned from the old school copywriters, guys like Ted Nicholas and Gary Halbert, people like that. I read their stuff, and I was like, right, yeah, I can do this. And then guys like Marlon Sanders, who, when the internet sort of was starting to pick up and we'd gone web-based and stuff. He had a product way back called The Amazing Formula. That was a bit of a game changer for me. And so I ended up using the internet to sell my software, and of course people then said, well, how the hell are you doing that? Because there's this thing which back then was a bit mysterious, what's this internet thing, and what, you're actually selling to people using it? And so I got asked how, and that was really where my first ever internet marketing product, which had the most dull name you can ever imagine. It was called, I think it was called Start and Succeed with Your Own Online Business.
Nice.
And it was a PDF, but I tell you, back then you could do like a short PDF and no problem selling it at $47 because there was no competition, or very little competition. So that was kind of how I fell into the whole thing, and I went full-time 1999. Apart from a little break I took a few years ago where I went off and tried some offline business stuff, which was, as I've told people many times, the hardest work I've ever done for the least return. And having done that and slogged my guts out for a few years and realised that bricks and mortar stuff isn't my game, I returned to internet marketing and made a comeback in that field, and that's where I've been ever since. So.
Man, you know what? That's a cool story, and I got some of that. You got a really cool About Me. So if anybody out there listen to this interview, make sure you check out Andy's site, andybrocklehurst.com. Check out his About Me page. It's a really cool little rundown of some of the things he's done over the years. You've kind of been a pioneer of a few things before it got big, and I think that's pretty cool. You were doing the audio MP3 files before the computers really had the ability to download them quickly. It took like all day to download one. So
yeah, I bought back then. This was before everyone did resale rights and PLR. Yeah. There were a few guys, and back then you could buy. It was just called resale rights, really, and the licenses varied. and I bought a set of audio tapes from a mail order guy that came with resale rights. I mean, and this will put you in the picture of what things were like back in like 2000-ish. Because no one was doing PLR or resale rights and stuff, to buy resale rights to that set of 12 audio tapes, and I think it was 2 videos, and the videos were awful, so I couldn't use them. I paid $650 for resale rights to that. So, but what I did was I took the audio tapes and I got them into a computer and I turned them into MP3 because MP3 was it had just come about then. And I made a Ted Nicholas training on sales copy available in MP3. But you're quite right. Sold for like $27, and it was 2 downloads, and each one took hours.
But yeah, and that's cool. But you had a good point on your About Me page, and the point was, hey man, people were okay with it because they'd rather wait like 8 or 9 or 10 hours or whatever to download that than to wait like 2 or 3 days or whatever for it to come in the mail. So I mean, kind of visionary if you think about it. You know, pretty cool.
Yeah, it was another way of doing instant gratification, really, because that was what we knew was the benefit at the time of PDFs and ebooks. And ebooks were a big thing back then. I know people have sort of devalued what they think an ebook is now, but they were huge value because people could get the information in about half an hour, I guess, 10 minutes with download speeds, depending. But otherwise, they'd have to either drive to a bookstore or order it from Amazon, and they didn't have next day delivery then, so it'd be 2 or 3 days before it got to you. And yeah, so it was always the instant gratification that was the major selling point.
Yeah, that's good, man. That's a good point. And it's funny about ebooks and the devaluation of them, because it seemed like, I think maybe things will come back around. Like things just go round and around. Like, you know, maybe 5 more years, the ebooks will be worth something again. It's like, think about it, man. I just saw, you know, people selling cheat sheets. Just simple cheat sheets for like $7 or $8 or $10. I mean, and it's just like a 1 or 2 page cheat sheet. So, you know, it's all perception. You know, it's weird.
It is. It's what's interesting is that people, I think, in this day and age where things are moving quicker and with so much information we can get, that the speed at which people want to take on board that information has come down. So it used to be that if you went, I've got an ebook and it's 400 pages, people go, wow, that's the best value ever for $27. Here's my money. Now, honestly, if you see a sales page and it tells you the ebook was 400 pages, I go, I ain't got time to read that. I'd be off. So it's a big selling point to condense stuff down, and that's where I think cheat sheets, I mean, there are good and bad cheat sheets out there, just like there are good and bad ebooks out there. But yeah, if you can get that information condensed down, and some people have always understood that. I guess it depends where they're from and their background, where they've moved from. I was telling someone the other day that back in, I don't know, I guess 2001, I would think, I gave Joe Vitale $147 for 5 pages of information.
Nice. That's crazy, man.
But 5 pages of information that immediately made me thousands of dollars. Yeah. Because at the time, then that information wasn't about anywhere else or whatever. And it was, you know, he could have padded that out and made it a 400-page book, but why? What it was, here's what I do, here's a link. It was paragraph and a link, a paragraph and a link. And then you went away and you did your own research on how the things worked. It wasn't a hand-holdy, but it worked. And I just wanted it quickly, and that gave it. So, and I think that's still the case today, probably even more so.
Yeah, you're right, man. That's a great point, and it kind of leads me into the next thing I wanted to talk to you about: software.
Okay.
You know, we talk about people wanting to speed things up, and they just want to do it, get it done fast. They want to consume the information faster. They'll take how to do it in 5 pages versus the 400-page thing where they got to skim through to the right chapter that has the thing. They just want it quick, and it kind of leads me to the software thing. And you do a lot of software. It seems like people who do software, they have a serious advantage in the marketplace. They can just put out any crap piece of software, and it just like sells.
Yeah, that's kind of the sad side of it, I think. I came from an old school software developer mentality. So when I develop a piece of software, we make it, we do what we call an alpha. You know, when people release something, they go, well, it's in beta. What most people don't realize is that there's meant to be a state called alpha testing that comes before it. That's why it's beta, you know. And the alpha thing is what you do in house, and you test it with your own guys, and you might give it to a couple of other people and let them toy with it. The beta edition should be as near market ready as it can be, and you might give that to people, or even sell it at a special price just to get a few people on board, and they're going to help finish with the fight. But it should be minor bugs if you're finding anything at all by then. And then you've got release. The sad thing is now we're seeing, instead of it being software developers bringing and then having marketers bring their software to market, we're just getting internet marketers going, I know, I'll just get this made by some cheap guy in India or whatever it is. And there's not really any testing. There's not really anything. And you see it all the time. Software comes out, it just flat out doesn't work. And then they go, oh, yeah, but... And then they try and justify it by going, oh, yeah, but it was only $7. like that's okay. What, it's all right to give me something crap for if the price was low enough. That's not, you know. So that annoys me a bit, I guess. But yeah, on the whole,
man, it was only $7. What do you got to complain about? Hey, listen,
I know.
We're updating it. All right, it's gonna work by the second update.
Yeah, exactly. And just like I've got my teamer on it now, and it drives me mad when I get sent review access to stuff and it flat out doesn't work. And they go, well, we're not quite ready for launch. You go, you're launching in 3 days. You know, by the time I'm giving out review copies of a piece of software, it's done, it's finished. It's like, if you find something, I'm going to be freaking astonished and I'll thank you for it, but it's highly unlikely. I get sent stuff and it flat out doesn't work out the box. And they go, oh yeah, we know about that, it's a bug. Why don't it fix them? Well, we're not ready for launch yet, but you're launching tomorrow. What you do, you know? And that's that. I don't promote any of that stuff that falls over like that, because I don't trust them that they can. I know from a development point of view, you don't know how long it's going to take you to track and find and fix a bug. Yeah. And if tracking, finding and fixing that bug may or may not create other bugs or other problems somewhere else in the software. So you can't be that close to launch going, oh yeah, but it doesn't matter. So I think there's a lot wrong with software sold in the IM industry, but there are some people that do it properly.
Yeah.
And you know, you soon find out who they are by the reputations they have and whatever. And yes, if you do software properly in the internet marketing field or in any field, it's got some longevity to it, definitely.
Yeah, man, you have some really cool software on your site that I was checking out, man. One of the ones I really thought looked cool was the one that actually helps you create simple pieces of software, simple little tools to help you get things done. I'm probably a future customer of that one. It looks really good, man.
All right, well, the thing is now with those, I mean, I'm going to now tell you the downside of my own products, right? So, because this one, right, Software Product Magic, iCurator Pro, Easy Software Maker, 3 different software builders do slightly different things that I've had out for years now. 2011 probably was the first version of some of those things. So, you know, we're talking 6-7 years ago.
Sure.
Now, here's the thing. A piece of software you reviewed the other day, now admittedly, it was not built well. It was not a good example of what you could do with my software builders, but nevertheless, that was built with like one of those. And as you saw, there are some now inherent problems because security has got so tight on computers that they throw up warnings about anything. Oh, this is an exe file and not many people have downloaded it, therefore it must be bad. Yeah. Well, of course they haven't. It's brand new. So now what you can do, and what should have been done on that download page you were visiting, is there should have been explanations of all that at that stage. This is going to come up because it's new. We can't help that. I mean, there are solutions. You can get digitally signed, but that costs a fortune.
That would have made a huge difference on that situation. That would have been a big difference.
Right, and also, why was his warning about this might trigger an antivirus? Why was that in the README file that you didn't see until after you downloaded it? That makes sense. Put it on the download. So you can work around those problems, but those sorts of things are becoming, you know, more and more tricky. Which is why the latest thing that we've developed, and it's been in development now for a few years, it is live and it's working, and it's a very solid piece of software. But we've never done an IM launch because it's not really an IM product. But I have a thing called Sasset, which is a tool that does what Software Product Magic does, but it builds software as a service. So it's building online software that you can lock behind a membership site.
That's nice.
And it builds the same sort of, and it's actually way more powerful than Software Product Magic. It can do an awful lot more. So that's really where we've gone, because we knew that this EXE thing was going to be a problem, and over time it has been. As I say, there are ways you can work around it. There are ways you can reassure people. You're still going to get some people that no matter what reassurance you give, they'll go, just the fact my computer says this is not safe or might not be safe, or I don't want to install it, please give me a refund. And you'll give him refunds before they've even looked at it.
Yeah, so, man, and you know what? I think that, and I'm still kind of in line to pick that up just because of the simple fact of I see it as a testing issue. Like with that piece of software, like you just talked about it a few minutes ago. Alpha testing, beta testing. Like if I'm developing a little piece of software, using your software or whatever, my thing is this, man. If I see that come up in problems, then I'm going to put something in a place where people will see it, no matter what. Hey, man, check this out. Here's the problem. I might even do a little video and be like, hey, man, here's what it's probably going to do. And I'll just show them a screen capture of me going through it. Here's what you do in this kind of a situation. Just kind of walk them through it. Hold them by the hand. Make it easy so I can reduce my refund rate on it. You know? Yeah,
it's absolutely more than doable, and there are many people still building very good tools with those builders and releasing them all the time. David Cisneros has done loads of stuff with it. Adam Jackson, Barry Rogers, myself, Jerome Johnson. There's loads of people that put stuff out with it, and don't have those ones because we've learned how to get around those issues now to explain it to people. I mean, that particular case, as I say, it could have been done better. There were other things it could have done. I felt maybe they rushed it to market because they were aware that other people were working on similar things, and that's probably what happened.
Yeah, that makes sense, man. And it's funny that we kind of, and I didn't realize that was developed using that tool of yours. But it's cool, though, because it's interesting. It's kind of something I wanted to talk to you about. That particular case, and I'm not going to throw out any names, I had to put someone I liked on blast.
Yeah.
Someone I liked and who I've promoted for before, and that particular little piece of software was based off of a product that I promoted just like a couple of months ago, and I loved it. And,
me too, yeah.
And I loved it, and I was like, I bought the thing. I didn't get a review copy. I bought the thing because I was ready to see the software. I wanted it to work good. But anyway, so I did the review video, and I had to put my friend on blast. It kind of sucked a little bit.
Do you know that video? I've got to tell you, I started watching it. I was laughing so hard, tears were running down my face for all the wrong reasons. It was the fact that you clearly wanted to like that so bad, and as you were doing stuff, you were just going, "What? This is." My favourite bit was when it dawned on you that all those links were links to search engines with the keywords embedded, and it was like your face drops and you're just like, this is just, but you're still trying to like it, and I found it, and then at the end you get the end of it and you just went, I can't look, this is awful, but I laughed for 20 minutes watching that video. It's one of the greatest things I've ever seen.
Yeah, man. It is what it is. What can I do? And I put it out there, and I put the video out there, and I was just like, hey, look, this is what it is. And when I put the video out there, I tagged the vendor because it wasn't like I was trying to go behind anybody's back or anything like that. Hey, this is what happened to me. This was my experience. But I said, hey, look, man, this doesn't stop me from promoting this person in the future. This is just, it is what it is. This was my experience. Maybe this video will help you. But yeah, man, I kind of had to put somebody on blast who I liked. And it's funny because you've had to deal with stuff like that. Just a couple months ago, man, I saw you get into this crazy, and I'm not going to mention any names or anything, but this crazy situation where from my perspective, it kind of seemed like you were being threatened, you were being insulted, and just all kinds of negativity just for being honest, just putting an honest case study out there about something.
I think I'm very hardened to it. People refer to me as the honey badger of internet marketing because they just go, you just don't give a shit, do you? You just go. The thing is, I do care, and I care passionately about our industry, and I'm very aware that there is an awful lot of rubbish out there, and people who are looking for genuine ways of getting a business off the ground and bettering their life and whatever are getting burned time and time again by, now partly you could go, is that their own fault? They've fallen for what is the most ridiculous set of claims ever. It only takes a little common sense to figure that out. But you know, I can't stand the fact that all these people are getting burned by this stuff when I know there's better stuff out there. The truth is, the good stuff out there, and what us marketers all do, the problem is what we really do isn't glamorous or sexy or exciting. When at the end of the day, if you're talking build a squeeze page, build a couple of variations, A/B split test it, then you've got to tweak this and tweak that and split test it again. None of that is glamorous. That's what makes it's pretty boring, isn't it? But it makes money. It's what works. It's what generates an income. And you know, and then you see all these pie-in-the-sky things coming out, and also a lot of these front-end products now are getting thinner and thinner and thinner. I saw one the other day, and it was all about, basically, this is how we're going to make money, and it's whatever we do plus our secret traffic source. And I was like, oh, let's go have a look. Okay, let's see what this one is. So you go in, the basic training, well, build a squeeze page. I was like, okay, I can live with that because that's what we do. That is actually rock solid stuff. Fair enough. But the whole thing it was sold on was what their secret traffic source was. And in their case, it was go to other people's YouTube videos and spam comments with your links. How's that a secret? How's that worth anything at all? It's just rubbish, you know. So. You know, stuff like that. They're getting thinner and thinner because they're hoping to sell stuff on the back end, and they're just. These guys are now got the stage where having to pump out 2 launches a month because it's the only way they know how to make money. Whereas I've always been about trying to build stuff that's evergreen, and you know that's why I've got software that's been going for 7 or 8 years and is still in existence.
Man. Super smart.
But you know, it doesn't have. The thing is, as you've proved, because honestly, I've seen 2 or 3 of your products now, and I've promoted most of them, and they're easy to get behind because talk about you over deliver massively, and what the content you put out and what you teach is stuff you've actually freaking done and proved works. And Parabolic Content Engine was probably one of the best info products. I was it last year or this year? Last year.
Man, I don't remember. It was one of these years. They're all blending together, dude. I'm getting old.
Yeah. It was honestly, and I said at the time, it's one of the best info products I bought that year.
Hey, thanks a lot, dude.
It was. Yeah, absolutely. But you know, so I know that there's good stuff out there. So I will. But occasionally, what happens is that people that start off doing good stuff, they get lazy and they go, oh god, I need launch to make a bit of cash, and they pump out something that's not as good. And if they do, I'm going to point out it's not as good. I don't have a problem with that, because at the end of the day, I'm looking out for my audience and my customer base and trying to make sure they don't get screwed over. Yeah, and if that means calling out someone I like who was a friend, I'll do it. I normally go to them direct and say, what the hell, dude? You know, if it's someone that I know. What's funny is quite often they just get defensive and won't talk to me. And I go, well, in that case, I'm just going to put the video up and call you out on it. You know.
Oh man, dude! And the funny thing is, I thought when you did that, I had such admiration for you, man, because I know. I mean, I know being in this business, I know how you really have to kind of like be brave. You really have to be brave. You really just have to have courage to do that. Probably more than a lot of people realize, because I think you said this before in one of your videos. Hey man, there's no money in doing reviews for products I don't like. No,
nothing in it for me at all. I mean, other than I'm looking out for my audience and they appreciate that, and that strengthens your following a little bit. I suppose there's a little bit in it for you if you look at it that way. But there was an awful lot. I mean, that particular one. You know, I had previously worked with one of the guys involved with it. I'd gone to him privately and said, have you tried this? Because he was like running the launch. Have you tried this yourself? And he went, no, but this other guy's tested it. And I went, well, has your other partner, has he tested it? No. So you've just taken the word of a guy who's fairly new to you. And he went, yeah. I go, I think you've got to go and look at this. It flat out does not work. And I've proved it doesn't work. And I'll give you all the proof and I'll give you everything. And instead of going, oh my God, what could we do? The reaction was, It's too late now. We've already got affiliates on board, and I'm not going to burn those bridges.
It's too late, man. It's too late.
And I'm like, in that case, I said, I'm going to have to call you out. I'm going to have to put this video up. And then that was it. That was like, what? You're going to throw away our friendship and you're going to do this. And I go, no, I'm looking out for my customers. And I'm telling you that you've either got to do something about this or I'm going to go and tell people, because that's what I do. I look out for,
Yeah.
And so, and I sadly haven't spoken to that guy since. But I'm here if he wants to, because I've had bust ups with other guys. You look at Jamie Lewis and I and the ding dongs we had over his first version of his Domain Elite thing, which I hated for many, many reasons and made it very clear I did. And then him and I got into some right ding dongs with silly videos back and forth and whatever. Fast forward a year, he brings out Domain Elite Pro, and I happened to catch a demo of it online pre-launch.
Mm-hmm.
So I contacted him and I went, I've just seen that video. If your software really does what I've seen in that video, I actually want to promote it.
Yeah.
And he was super transparent. He sent me full access to absolutely everything. Showed me all the sales pages, OTO pages. Was like, and I was like, great. There's no claims that I don't like. He goes, yeah. When I wrote that sales copy, I had you in the back of my bloody head the whole time. And now, but now Jamie Lewis and I get on really well, and I did. I thought the pro version of that thing was fantastic, and I endorsed it. I ended up, not that I tried, but I ended up on his leaderboard, and so it's never a personal thing. It's always a business decision, and and everyone deserves a second chance. So if people screw up, if they put it right and they fight their way back, fair play to them.
Yeah, absolutely, man. That's cool.
So yeah, it's always a business thing.
Yeah, man, and the cool thing I think that's a really interesting story, because here you got a guy, he's sore with you because you weren't on board with something he did, but then, a year or two later, you're cool again. It all worked out, and it's funny because it's almost like you influenced him in a positive way. You saved the guys who might have watched that review money, and not just money. Here's how I look at it, right? So you got these guys who are like, they can't make any money. They're super frustrated, but they're still willing to take a shot. They're still willing to take a shot and to try to do something. And they do something. They buy this thing, and there was no way in hell that was going to work. Ever. So what do they get? They get another product that doesn't work, demoralizes them further, and takes them farther away from any kind of success. And to think that you knew that before you ever going to release it, you knew that it wasn't going to work, but you're like, well, hell, man, I already got the money train lined up, so just forget it.
Yeah.
let's just go anyway. I mean, that's bullshit, man. That's ridiculous.
Exactly. And that is sadly the mentality people slip into. They lose sight. Many people start with that focus and they're customer driven and everything else, and they lose it. And there's this big danger in our field, especially in the launch arena, that I generally don't hang around very much anymore. I promote very few launches. I'm really interested in teaching people evergreen stuff, and that's not to say if a product's launched that isn't great. Like last couple of weeks ago, where was it last week? John Botel's Ecom Domination came out. I'm not into ecom at all, but I know people in my audience that are, and I also know John Botel and Sam England. I know are two people that come from that whole ecom background. They've done it years and years. That wasn't a cheap course, but I knew it was going to be the best course, and I looked at it and checked it out and went, well, I don't know ecom, so I can't, but this is what they do, and this is their thing, and I 100% believe it, so I promoted that. That was, the last launch thing, really.
And those are two guys who've been on the IM Pub, too, haven't they? I think both of those...
Sam hasn't. John Botel's come in, yeah.
Yeah, okay, cool.
Yeah.
You guys have done some epic conversations on the IM Pub, man. I remember sitting in, just listening to you guys talk for hours on the IM Pub, and it was crazy. And you don't ever see anything like that, really. I never see anything else like that. It's really something, man. It's amazing.
Yeah, it's someone said to me, why'd you do it every week? It's you're sitting there and you are almost coaching people for free. And I go, well, yes and no. I mean, it's a very laid-back atmosphere. It's an unwind thing. We will help people, because very much the attitude I took in my business a few years back now was to adopt that thing that you stop chasing money and instead you look for who you can help, and the money always follows.
Man, that is so true, dude. That is so true. I've been telling people, like, I never started making any money. I never made a dime online until, like, I just stopped worrying about my bank account and just started actually just trying to help people. So,
it's so true. And if that becomes your focus, it just, you know, you can say it's a karma thing. You can say it's, well, I don't know. But I do know that that's certainly been the case for me. It's been the case for other people that I know that do the same thing. And, you know, and interestingly, as a result of doing all those sessions where we're helping people and giving free advice, I've picked up some one-on-one coaching clients. I've picked up some people that we've got put into a group mastermind thing that we have running, which, you know, which financially benefits me. So, yeah. I mean, it is that, you know, you reap what you sow thing. There's definitely something in that.
Now, curveball for you. I see some Houdini pictures on the wall behind you.
Yeah.
Are you a Harry Houdini fan, man? Are you a Houdini fan? How'd you get into that?
I've got Houdini there. That's and above that is Thurston, who was a magician. I do magic tricks for fun.
What?
I mean, I used to perform on stage 20 or more than 20 years ago, 20, 30 years ago.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and I used to do cabaret and close-up magic and that sort of thing. And I love doing it, and I still have it as an interest and a hobby. But I stopped performing because I was focusing on my business, and I found I just enjoyed doing this stuff more than doing that. So now it is just a hobby. I still read an awful lot of magic books, and I go to magicians' conventions and hang out with guys, and it's like that's like a big geek fest as well. It's just lots of guys sitting around going, look at this for the deck of cards. Did you see that? You know, so.
Man, that's really cool. All right, I got a question for you. I'm trying to picture this in my mind. You know, you started in internet marketing. You knew how to do software. You knew how to code. You knew how to do all that stuff. You were putting out products, tools, information products, audios. What got you into affiliate marketing? What got you into, like, promoting other people's stuff?
Do you know, I mean, the thing is, no matter how you build your audience and stuff, you're always going to have this field of products that you do. There's an awful lot more in any marketplace that people are interested in. And also, I was getting asked, well, how are you marketing this? And I'd say, well, I have got a training. Here's my training on it and whatever. But if you really want to learn copywriting, you should go and check out Marlon Sanders' products or whatever it was. And so in doing that, there was already a natural progression of recommending other people's products. If you're going to recommend other people's products, you may as well get paid for it, right? So
absolutely.
And I mean, that's kind of how it came about. And then, I mean, it just comes down to what's right. But what I have done is maintain this sort of strict thing I do. You'll notice I promote very few launches. Mainly because so many of them now are awful. But I only want to put stuff in front of my audience that I think is worth their time and consideration. And I know, you know, I always try and be really honest in my reviews, and that means that I don't chase leaderboard positions. You'll know this. I mean, I don't know because I think I was well ahead on yours. But on another one, I'll get someone and they'll go, "Oh, you've just slipped into second. If you mail again, you could." And I go, "So, I'm not mailing again." I go, I've told my audience about it. I'm not going to beat them around the head with it. I've told them enough times. It's on my blog. They know I think it's good.
Yeah.
If it's something they want to do, they'd have checked it out by now.
That's true.
It's fine.
That's true.
And so they're like, oh well, can't you? And I go, no, and they go, but top prizes are thousands, and you're only going to get 500 at the moment, and you could so easily. And I go, it's not about the money. Yeah. It's never about it. Never, and this is part of the problem with contests and where you get these ridiculous blimmin' crush campaign mailings going out. That I mean, if you're a churn and burn marketer, fine, good luck to you. I mean, I'm not saying it's a bad model. It clearly works to some degree, but as I said to someone the other day, how can it be that I can leaderboard ahead without trying? I can leaderboard ahead of a marketer that's got a list of 120,000, and I know for that particular offer, I mailed a segment of my list that it was right for, that was only, say, 5,000 people, and I mailed them, say, twice, maybe 3 times at the most, because I might have done a final reminder, and he's mailed 3 times a day for a whole freaking week. How can it possibly be that I'm ahead of them? And the difference is because I've got an audience, not a list.
That's right. That's good. That's an awesome point, dude. That's an awesome point. And he speaks from experience, you guys. Every time Andy has promoted one of my products, he's absolutely crushed it. And I'm not saying, hey, go bother this man. I'm just saying he knows what he's talking about. Audience over just like a list. You know, it totally makes sense, dude. And yeah, and you know what? I don't think it sounds very sexy to people, man. I don't think it sounds very sexy when you're like, hey, dude, look, you want to make money on the internet? You got to build an audience. That's what you got to do. They're like, what? Man, I don't got time for that shit. Where can I buy a list?
It is. And that's part of the problem. And there are ways of quickly making money, but there's no longevity to it. And that's why I can look around this game, and I can spot people that at the moment are doing a launch every so often and seem to be doing really well, and they're sort of in the IM public eye a bit and whatever. And I know in 2 years' time, no one would have heard of them. They'd be gone. You know,
that's crazy.
And
man.
there are other guys I look at and I go, they're in it for the long haul. They're in it for the long haul. They're going to be around. And that's why I've been around since 1999. I'm still here. That's why guys like Marlon Sanders are still doing what they're doing. They're old school and they do it the right way. And there are many other.
Yeah, that's another guy who, whenever he promotes something, man, he absolutely crushes it. So
because he's got an audience.
Yeah.
It's the same deal. He doesn't, and his email, he doesn't hammer it and hammer it and hammer it and hammer it. Now, you know, like I say, that I get that there are people that will do the churn and burn model and it works for, and that's absolutely fine. If that really is your model, it seems like really hard work to me, because you've got to constantly put new blood into your list that you can then pound to death with all your offers until they finally get burnt out and drop off the bottom.
I'm done, man. I'm done. I'm out.
Yeah. Now, and here's the thing: how could it, I was on a live the other day, and one of the guys that's been on my list this long was actually on the live. I was saying to this guy, I've got people on my email lists that have been on my list since 2001, 2002. And one of them, Volker, was actually on the call and said that, but there were others as well. And I'm like, that's almost unheard of in this game.
That's awesome, dude.
For people to have stuck around with you for that long. Most people's list retention now is, because of the way that they market and stuff, there's going to be drop off. And my aim is always to connect with the people I can resonate with, and those that I can't, they can unsubscribe. Don't chase everyone. Don't be bland. You're not the right fit for everyone. So my approach is very much be me. If people like that, they'll stick around. If they don't like it, they'll unsubscribe. The worst ones are the ones down the middle that can't decide if they like you or not. You've got to push them one way or the other, and that's why. So you do. You give them emails that are either going to make bloody click the unsubscribe link or take some action, but don't do nothing.
What does an email like that look like, Andy? How does that go, man?
A lot of the time, I think if you're just you, and then it's quite interesting sometimes when you get those emails back and they go, I had one a while ago, and it was just like, I just had that email from you, and what you said about, I was offended by your language, and I just screenshot it, circled the unsubscribe link, put a big red arrow to it, and mailed that picture back to them. Because I'm like, why are you, why are you even bothering? It's, so yeah, I don't set out to offend people.
Right.
Offence is always taken, right? Offence isn't something you give. Offence is always taken. So I'm just me, and if that happens to offend someone to the point they want to get off my list, they can. What's interesting is some people it offends, but it offends them in the right way, gives them the slap they need, and they actually end up sticking around and going, I'm glad you offended me and pointed that out because it made me think. So, yeah.
I like it, man. So a couple months ago, I started seeing strange symbols and skulls and crossbones and all this strange stuff on Facebook just kind of flooding my timeline. I didn't know what was going on. It was kind of a weird, mysterious thing, and these words Society 11 started coming up everywhere, and I'm like, what is this thing? What's going on with this? I'm intrigued. What is the Society 11?
Man.
Can you tell me a little bit? And of course, the mastermind, Andy Brocklehurst, behind a lot of that Society 11 stuff. Can you tell me a little bit about Society 11? What is that?
Sure.
And what's up?
So, well, basically, myself and a guy called Kurt Crowley, he is we refer to him as the Niffler. He is this guy who just sees things in slightly different to everyone else. It's an incredible thing. You watch his mind. I watch him when I'm sat on video with him, and his mind is going. He'll see product over here that is okay, and a product over here that's all right, and he'll work out that if you put those together, you have got some amazing marketing machine thing. And so he's always coming up with these ideas, but he didn't really have an outlet for them. And I really wanted to work with him because I've worked with him on little projects. I promoted stuff that he'd done, and he promoted for me. And internet marketing for him is a everyone does this stuff for different reasons. For him, because Kurt actually has a very nice full-time job that he does. And his goal in internet marketing isn't that he can give up his job; it's that he wants his wife to be able to give up her job.
What?
Which I think is such a nice thing. For me, it's the time freedom and the time I get with my family and all those things. So, but he's been around a long time, and we were talking and saying, "Hey, you remember what the Warrior Forum was like back in the day?" And we're going like back to 2001 and things like that. And back then, the Warrior Forum was this hive of decent people that knew marketing, and you could ask a question and get an amazingly good answer. And now you go there and it's just a bunch of tire kickers and freebie seekers who are basically people asking for advice and getting bad advice. And it's just, I think the freelancer takeover was the final nail in the coffin, really. I'm not saying there's bound to be the odd good bit in there, but it's overshadowed by the bad. When it started, it was a paid membership way back in the day, and then it became they made the forum part free, but it still had a core of good people. It was the only thing out there, and then it deteriorated. And we said, wouldn't it be good to recreate that community, and also of like-minded people that are like us, people that want to market ethically, people that don't want to put out crap products just to build a list and bombard with affiliate offers. What if we could find the other people that either are doing that or want to do that? So we find newbies as well that want to do it, and we show them how we do it.
That's awesome.
And that was like, that's a good idea. Well, how can we do it? And I was like, well, we could get the best training. We'd put that in a membership site. We could have a community area, whatever else. And so I already, and I can't even remember why I bought it, I already owned the domain Society 11. I've been sat on it for a year or so. I think I had some crazy kooky idea ages ago that I never did. So we were trying to come up with a name, and I just went, I'm just looking down my list of domains. So I said to Kurt, I got this domain, Society 11. And we just started going down this path of secret societies, and we were like, that's what we do.
That's fantastic.
We didn't want to do a big IM launch, because seriously, the worst thing that could have happened with that group would have been if 500 people joined at once. It would have just... So we needed it to build organically and gradually and whatever. So we did a few things differently. We didn't do a launch. We just kept putting these little whispers out, this guerrilla marketing stuff.
Yes.
Then when we opened the doors and people joined, we made it so that only members could promote it. So you can't get, no one can get an affiliate link unless they're a member. So and so that meant that it meant that the affiliate program became an extra added value as well. So there's a whole lot of content, software. The Facebook group is amazing. It's a fantastic community. It's developed better than Kurt and I ever imagined. It's a lot of work, but it's worth it. And that's what Society 11 is. And basically, if people really want to be ethical in their marketing and learn to do it the ethical way, and like there's loads we have a few rules inside the private group, like there's no affiliate links, there's no promotion, there's no whatever else. it really is there to be a community to help each other and whatever. And that's what it is, and that's what it's becoming. So that's really what it's all about.
That's awesome, man. And let me ask you this. Let's say one of our viewers here wants to join Society 11. How do they do that? Where do they got to go?
They just can go to society11.com. They will see a big blue door on that page in which you click on, and then that takes you to a page which has got all the information on it, loads of testimonials from members that are inside the group, including live Facebook comment testimonials at the bottom, so you know we're not making this shit up. This is real people. Real people going, I absolutely love this and whatever. And if you're in any doubt, just look at those people, contact any one of them and go, is this genuinely worth being a part of? And I tell you, I don't think everyone that's in that group tells us on a weekly basis how it's the best decision they ever made, how they're getting more out of this. Because realistically, these are guys that were running around buying $17, $27 wafer-thin rubbish products. So the first thing we're going to do is stop buying all that crap. Instead of buying that, spend less than you're wasting on all of that. Spend that on access to this. And come in and see for yourself and whatever. And, you know.
That's right.
And they're all going, yeah, this is the best thing, and we can't, you know. So, and we're constantly adding value. We've got many more plans of where we're taking it, but it's got to keep growing sort of organically, which is why we'll never do a massive marketing push. We've just had a surge of people, which is like 100 new members or something in a fairly short space of time, because we had this scarcity of a price rise. So all the people inside were going around telling their friends, get in quick. So we've had a little surge now, but it's been very manageable, and so now it's just going to roll along. It's not about the money. It's about the community and the help, and see the money follow. And it's nice because there's relationships forming. We've seen JV partnerships forming inside where people have teamed up and doing a launch together. We've got a section in there where people who offer services can list their services. No hypey sales. It's just what you do: graphic design, your name. And they can message you on Facebook. So we've got things like that in there as well. So it's just an all-round helpful, ever-growing community. We are pretty brutally honest with each other, nice. Which some people will struggle with. But you know, I think that needs to be sometimes.
Yeah. You know what? That's fantastic. And I've heard a lot of organic testimonials just on Facebook, people talking about it and stuff. So I know really nice, strong grassroots kind of growth and movement to that Society 11, and just an awesome, strong community. That's great, man. A couple of years ago, I saw a guy make the Statue of Liberty disappear.
Yeah, David Copperfield.
And I thought, holy shit, man, that was amazing. How did he do that? And I guess now that I'm in the presence of a magician, I wanted to ask you, do you have a favorite trick that you've seen or that you performed?
Favorite trick I perform is ironically not a trick that I think plays well to an audience. It's a bit of some people do it well for an audience. I like the classics. I love cups and balls. That, to me, as a magician, if you learn that, you learn so much about misdirection, sleight of hand, audience control, and whatever else. So from a performance point of view, I love that. Although that's pretty much the only non-card trick I do these days. Because nearly everything I do now, I just love playing with cards, and you know. So, favorite trick that I've seen anyone else do. Don't know really. I think probably there's a guy called Kevin James does a sawing in half trick with a chainsaw.
Nice.
And literally no box, literally cuts someone in half, and it looks very, very good. It's fucking. It's just, I love that.
It, man?
Very well is the answer to that. I mean, it can be worked out, but yeah, there's a few things that I like and whatever I like.
That's great. Okay. Not going to bother. I appreciate you giving me some of your time today, man. I'm not going to go on and on with you. What do you have to tell people? Where can people find more information about you? What do you got going on you can tell people about?
Okay, couple of things. AndyBrocklehurst.com is my main sort of hub site, blog site. Nearly everything I do is detailed on there, and whatever. One of the things I'm proudest of that I'm doing outside of the Society 11 thing is a thing called the Total Funnel Formula that I'm doing with Richie Nolan. We're doing a live event in Cardiff, England in October. It is the weekend of, I'm just going to double check the date so I don't get it wrong. I'm pretty sure it's the 7th and 8th of October. Let me just have a look. No, it's not. September, October. Yes, it is. 7th and 8th. 7th and 8th of October in Cardiff. We're doing a 2-day live event. It's all teaching. It's not a pitch fest. It's not a typical internet marketer's piss up where people, you know, there'll be some drinking in the evening, no doubt. But there is 2 solid days of teaching, and we are going to go from everything from the front end of a sales funnel where you initially drive traffic into like a tripwire or free product or whatever, right the way through a funnel, right the way through to what you can do potentially on the back end with higher ticket stuff. Richie's going to teach about telephone closing. If people want to get into that, he's going to be revealing and explaining the sales script he uses, which has been responsible for doing millions of dollars worth of business. So really looking forward to doing that, because it's to be the first time I've been sort of on stage in a long time. So that's in October. TotalFunnelFormulaLive.com. There are still 10 or so early bird tickets, which are a third of the price. So if you live in the UK or within hopping distance, if you're like Europe or something, you hop over on a cheap flight, then you can fly straight into Cardiff, and there we go. So there's that's really the main things I've got going on. Yeah.
You heard it here, guys. He is Andy Brocklehurst, legendary marketer of 20 years. He is affiliate marketer, Society 11, co-founder, all-around awesome guy, magician. Dude, thanks so much for your time. Thanks for being on the show today, man.
I've loved it. It's been great.
Peace.